TV 51. KNWS TV, Katy, Houston.
Live today at Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh, the Houston Astros welcome Randy Johnson to their rotation. They go for a sweep of the three-game series from the Pirates. Stay tuned for baseball on 51. The Astros road trip has started off with a big positive, taking 2 straight from the Pirates at Three Rivers. But the big news, the big trade, the big unit. Randy Johnson joins the Astros, and Houston's postseason chances seem even brighter. Today, Johnson will get his first chance to shine as an Astro. It's number 51 as the Astros and Pirates meet on 51. From Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh today, it's the finale of this 3-game series between the first-place Houston Astros and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Welcome back, everybody. Bill Brown and Jim DeShays. Today we show you number 51, Randy Johnson, on 51. And it's going to be an exciting day to watch one of the biggest moves the Astros have ever made. And Randy Johnson pitches today, Jim.
Congratulations to Jerry Hunsaker and Drayton McClain for pulling off the best deal of the year. This guy could provide a great lift for the Astros. The winningest pitcher in baseball from 91 to 97. The guys in the clubhouse are really pumped up about his arrival. This is going to be a fun ball game to watch.
It's given the entire team a lift, and they've won the first 2 games of this road trip. They go to Florida next. They're facing Todd Van Poppel today, and he is not the story of this game, but you know that from where he sits, he has a golden opportunity today.
Yeah, a great sidelight story. Todd Van Poppel trying to jumpstart his career. He's only 26 years old. He still has a chance to have a fine career. But Randy Johnson is the story, Brownie. You could hear the gulp from San Diego to Atlanta to Chicago when the Astros pulled that deal off.
All eyes will be on 51, and it's number 51 making his Astros debut, coming back to the National League. We'll see the first game for him in an Astros uniform. Stay tuned. Baseball is next.
Actually, I'm tired, though.
Oh, here we go again.
I drove all day, and now I'm knocking and pinging.
I don't care.
You don't care that I knock and ping.
It's not that I don't. Well, actually, no, I don't care.
Do you know why I knock and ping?
Why?
Because I need a higher octane gas.
So?
But you get Chevron Supreme with Techron. I can't believe that.
Because I'm a car that's designed for high octane.
But I'm the one that's knocking and pinging.
Whose fault is that?
It's not mine.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
Yes.
No premium outperforms Chevron Supreme with Techron. Chevron, simply smarter.
Yes. No.
Yes.
No, it isn't.
Yes.
It's a gorgeous day here at Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh, the weekend of the Pittsburgh Regatta. If the Astros were in a regatta, they'd be 3.5 lengths in front of the Chicago Cubs in a boat race toward who wins the division, and the Astros are hoping to go much further than that now with the addition of today's starting pitcher. We'll be looking at the Astros starting lineup with the Pirates getting ready to go for this ball game. Pirates are 10 games under 500. The Astros are 22 games over. Here's their lineup brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Craig Biggio's at second base, Bill Spires at third, Derek Bell in right field, Jeff Bagwell at first base, Moises Alous in left field, Carl Everett in center, Ricky Gutierrez the shortstop, Brad Ausmus the catcher for Randy Johnson. Todd Van Poppel is 2-2 for the season in 6 starts. As Jim mentioned, he's 1-0 in 2 starts as a Pirate.
We talked about Todd in the open. It seems like he's been around a long time, but he's only 26 years old. He kind of was rushed to the big leagues after being a first-round pick of the Oakland A's.
He goes to work against Craig Biggio, leading it off for Houston. Biggio 2 for 9 in this series with a walk. And Poppel's fastball catches the outside corner for strike 1. Biggio, playing in his 492nd consecutive game, is hitting .318 for the year with 12 homers, 59 runs batted in. He shoots it foul, and it's no balls and 2 strikes. Biggio's hit .333 in his last 19 games. He's second in the league in runs scored and tied for 4th in base hits. The Astros going for their first 3-game sweep here in Pittsburgh since '95. There's a liner to right. Guillen makes the play. Jose Guillen got a nice jump, and Biggio is out number 1 for Van Poppel. Defensively, the Pirates have an outfield of Smith, Martinez, and Guillen, Ramirez, Collier, Polkovich, Young, Van Poppel, and Kendall. Oh, Van Poppel with a new home was acquired from Texas July 17th, along with minor league infielder Warren Morris, a good second baseman from LSU, in exchange for pitcher Esteban Loaiza. He faces Bill Spires next. Spires is on a 6-game hitting streak as he steps in for this one. That's ball one from Van Poppel. Spires has 8 hits in his last 6 games, hitting .268 for the year with 2 homers and 33 runs batted in. He's 2 for 9 in this series. 2-0. Van Poppel has walked only 1 in 12 1/3 innings as a Pirate, while striking out 5. 26-year-old, 6'5", 230-pound right-hander who lives in Southlake, Texas. 2 balls and a strike. The Astros are 3-1 against the Pirates this year. In this ballpark since 1993, they've won 22 and lost 11. Hammered up the right field line. Fair ball. Spires will get extra bases. He heads for second. Guillen deep in the corner, stumbles. Spires will continue on to third, and the relay throws not in time. Spires hooks the bag with his left hand, and he's in with a 3-base hit. Guillen stumbled a little bit on the warning track in right field, and he had to chase that ball deep into the corner. It's actually going to be a double and an error because of that little bobble by Guillen.
Take a look. It's an off-speed pitch from Van Poppel. I was talking to Gene Lamont before the game, and he said, Todd, that's where he's had his struggles with the breaking ball and the off-speed pitch. That one kind of hung there for Spires. And there's the bobble, allowing Spires to get to third base.
Spires gets his 22nd double. The error is the 9th of the year on Guillen. Spires has a 7-game hitting streak, and Derek Bell's the batter. Bell's late on the fastball. There's strike 1 to Derek, having an outstanding year. And 328, 15 homers, 79 RBIs, his figures for the season. Bell's 3rd in the league in hits with 142, and he's 10th in runs scored. Infield lays back. Big curveball is a strike, and it's 0-2 to Derek. Derek has 2 hits and 3 walks in this series with an RBI. Now his mission is to make contact here and try to get Spires home from third with 1 out.
Van Poppel has to think strikeout.
In the dirt, blocked by Kendall. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Good 0-2 pitch right there. Don't ever want to leave that breaking ball in the zone when you're heading the count.
Bell's hit .345 with men in scoring position. That's dropped off since early May. He was sizzling for that first month of the season. 1-2 to Derek. He chops it, and it's foul, third base side. Spires was ready to come in. Count remaining 1 ball and 2 strikes. Pirates starting pitching has been very good. In fact, with a lower ERA for the year than the Astros starting pitching by a little bit. Their starters 42 and 42 with a 3.84 earned run average. Of course, they did trade Loaiza. But they have other solid starters, including John Lieber, who will pitch against the Rockies, who come in next. There's a strikeout, and that's what Van Poppel went for and got for out number 2.
They threw him 3 straight breaking balls out of the zone. Finally got Derek to swing and miss at one.
Oh, Van Poppel can get out of it with a 0 if he can get Jeff Bagwell here in the first inning. Bagwell was hurt the first time these 2 clubs met in Houston back in May. He has only 7 at-bats against them. .268 for the year overall with 23 homers. There's ball 1 to Bagwell. Jeff had a hit and 2 walks in yesterday's game. He hit a 9th inning homer Friday night. The Astros won that one 7-4, and they won yesterday 2-1 behind the complete game effort of Jose Lima. Fastball fouled away, and it's 1-1 to Bagwell, his 4th in the league in walks. Jeff, Craig Biggio, all the established Astros really overjoyed at the Randy Johnson trade. They said it's on us now. It's up to us to really come through after management has stepped up and given us everything we wanted. over the head of Bagwell. It's caught by Kendall to save a run. 2 balls and a strike. Sometimes the catcher is unable to spear one. It's behind the hitter like this.
I guess he is having problems with his breaking ball. You can see he really wrapped his hand in his delivery, never got the ball out in front.
Bagwell takes. It's 2-2. In 75 major league starts, Van Poppel has a 20-31 record with an ERA of 6.66. He's allowed 9 first-inning runs in his 6 starts this year. He's really struggled, even though he is 26, came to the big leagues at a tender age. Fastball's a little up, and it's a full count now to Bagwell.
He was the National High School Player of the Year back in 1990, I believe it was.
You are correct. 1990 graduate of Martin High School in Arlington, Texas. Turned down a scholarship at the University of Texas to sign with Oakland. Bagwell to right field. Guillen waiting. Van Poppel puts up the first 0 in this game. 1 hit, 1 error. Spires left at third. No score. Nothing ball game. The Pirates come up against Randy Johnson. Here is their lineup, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Kevin Polkovich is the starter at second base. He's followed by the catcher Jason Kendall. Manny Martinez in center field. Kevin Young at first base. Jose Guillen is the right fielder with Mark Smith in left field. Aramis Ramirez is the third baseman. Lou Collier at shortstop, and Todd Van Poppel is the pitcher for Gene Lamont. Randy Johnson in the American League this year with Seattle was 9-10 with a 4.33 ERA and 6 complete games and 23 starts. His first pitch as an Astro is strike 1, Jim.
Throws a 2-seam and a 4-seam fastball. He'll also throw a couple different sliders. Also features a straight change.
0-2. Polkovich, a 199 hitter, has just 5 hits in his last 35 at bats. And Randy Johnson, truly one of the dominant pitchers in the major leagues right now, Jim.
Yeah, look at the numbers. 213 strikeouts, was leading the American League when the deal was done.
Fly ball left center. Alou over. There's one out for Randy, who held a press conference at the Astros Hotel here in Pittsburgh last night. He was quite tired after flying from Seattle. A lengthy flight, and he chose to pitch in this afternoon game despite the fact that he is kind of fatigued. So he'll get the butterflies out of the way right away, Jim.
He's got some adrenaline going, I'm sure.
Said he was in kind of an ornery mood, and that's the way you want to be sometimes when you pitch. How about that winning percentage since '91? Even better than Greg Maddux and the best in the majors. Jason Kendall has the best batting average in the majors against left-handed pitching this year. .419. Johnson throws a strike, and it's 1-1 to Kendall, who is hitting .337. That's the third best average in the National League. 6 homers, 49 runs batted in for Jason. Little tap. Bill Spires over. 2 outs. Randy Johnson very encouraged by the move to Houston. He's anxious to make an impact with his new teammates. He cautioned people not to expect too much, but his teammates think that he's exactly what they need, Jim.
Yeah. Don't walk on water, Randy said. I don't walk on water. I can't part the Red Sea, but the Astros know every time he takes the mound, they're going to be the favorite.
Manny Martinez is the batter now. Part-time player, usually plays against southpaws. A 27-year-old outfielder with a .287 average, 4 homers and 14 runs batted in. He's had 87 at bats. Good cut there by Martinez, and it's strike 1. He's 1 for 4 in this series. Drove in 2 runs in Friday night's game.
Talked about Randy's 2 different fastballs. When he throws the 4-seamer, the riding fastball, that'll be mid-90s or better at times. The sinker, maybe in the low 90s, the 2-seam fastball.
Last pitch was clocked at 93. Breaking pitch misses outside. It's 1-1.
And he'll throw his slider to both sides of the plate. He rarely faces a left-handed hitter. Most managers stack the lineups with righties. So he'll throw that slider down under the hands, and then he'll also backdoor it.
There's the backdoor pitch, and it caught the corner. 1-2. In his last start, he lost to Cleveland 4-3 in Seattle. Pitched a complete game, allowing 4 hits and 4 runs, walking 6 and fanning a dozen. And he has the most strikeouts in the 90s by almost 200 over Roger Clemens. He gets his first strikeout as an Astro, and that one ties Curt Schilling for the major league lead, 214 for the year. It's 0-0 after 1. 0-0 game after 1. Astros fans, here's your chance to win $1,000 instantly. Call 713-HOUSTON during the first 2 innings of today's game. Enter the access code BALL and have your driver's license handy. Pick an Astros player to hit a home run in the 3rd inning. If we select your name, you win tickets to see John Fogerty live in concert August 3rd. And if the Astro you chose hits a home run, you win $1,000. There's ball 1 to Moises Alou, leading it off here in the 2nd against Todd Van Poppel. Moises hits the fastball to right field. Jose Guillen drifting over a few steps toward the line. Alou retired. There's 1 out for Van Poppel, who last time out pitched respectably considering the fact that it was at Coors Field. Pirates won in 13 innings 8-7. He went 6 innings, allowing 8 hits and 4 runs, and he left with a 7-4 lead. So Van Poppel actually has been something of a surprise because he's a guy who struggled throughout his major league career, Jim.
Yeah, he's 22-35 with a high ERA for his career. Great expectations for Todd when he first got started, and as I said, he got rushed and kind of went backwards.
That's ball 1 to Carl Everett on a 3-game hitting streak. Everett's had a very good series, going 4 for 9 with 2 runs batted in. 2 balls and no strikes. Van Poppel truly was rushed. Everett, a .321 hitter, has 11 homers, 59 RBIs. Oakland got him right to the big leagues. 2 balls and a strike, and then he needed some regrouping time because he had been offered that scholarship to UT. Some clubs shied away from drafting him, but Oakland went ahead and took him and signed him. Foul back, and it's 2 balls 2 strikes to Carl Everett.
Memory serves me right. Todd made it be known that he was going to go to college, so I think he put out the vibes, don't draft me.
Yes, he did.
Because Atlanta had the first pick in the draft, and they chose Chipper Jones instead. That worked out pretty well.
It certainly did.
Real good guy, Brownie. I was with the A's spring training in '92, and Todd was there. Just a real good guy. One of those guys that so many bad things have happened to him, you really pull for him.
Fly ball left. Mark Smith is back. Everett retired, 2 outs. Van Poppel cruising right along. Ricky Gutierrez will be next. Well, considering the fact that Loaiza was given up and he was one of the Pirate mainstays, Warren Morris, a highly regarded second baseman, seemed to be the key to the deal, but Van Poppel has been given this opportunity to move right into the rotation and produce, and so far he's doing fairly well. Gutierrez to right center. Van Poppel has made it an easy first 2 innings, and it's 0-0 after 1.5.
Welcome back to Pittsburgh, everybody. No score as we head to the bottom of the 2nd. On Sunday, August 16th, the Astros and the Cubs play at 1:35. First 20,000 kids 14 and under will receive an original derby from the Ty Beanie Babies collection, courtesy of Williams.
Huge homestand coming up starting Friday night with the Phillies, and the Cubs are on the tail end of that. Those are all big games. Randy Johnson gets a foul ball from Kevin Young. There's strike 1 in the last of the 2nd inning. So the big unit had a 1-2-3 first in his Houston debut. Todd Van Poppel is pitching well against him, and he's facing a hot hitter in Kevin Young. That one comes through the back door for strike 2 on Young, a .291 hitter with 21 long balls and 76 runs batted in.
I think most hitters would tell you they're geared for the heater against Randy Johnson. And when he starts dropping that backdoor slider over the outside corner, he can be really tough. If he's struggling with his breaking pitch and they can really count on getting that fastball, they got a fighting chance. If he's having success getting both pitches over, why, that's the games that he really dominates, the high strikeout games.
Young has had 2 at-bats against the big unit. He's 1 for 2. Mark Smith, the only other Pirate in the starting lineup to have faced Randy, and Smith is 0 for 3 against Johnson. Young fouls it. Kevin Young had 3 hits Friday night, including a home run off Mike Hampton. The other 2 hits were doubles. He has really gotten great power results the last 2 years after not doing very much in the power department in the early stages of his career. He's made some changes in his hitting style, and he's gotten a lot stronger working with weights. Kevin Young has been released twice. He's quite a story here in Pittsburgh, Jim.
Yeah, nice to see him come back. Another very popular player with his teammates. He may be facing a suspension after the little brouhaha he had with home plate umpire Brian Gibbons yesterday.
He got thrown out of the game and bumped the umpire, Gibbons. Johnson misses downstairs, 1-2. Brad Ausmus was warming up Randy Johnson in the bullpen prior to this game, so he could get some familiarity with a big left-hander who's 6'10". Strike 3 call at the knees. That is almost unfair when you're that big and throw that hard and can hit that spot on a right-handed batter.
Yeah, he's starting to warm up a little bit too, Browning. The last 2 pitches clocked at 96, and now this one 97. That's cheese at the knees.
He has 4 straight outs as an Astro, most career 10 strikeout games. Randy Johnson with 82, Nolan Ryan 215. Liner to right center by Guillen, and he drops it in for the first hit off Randy. Guillen now has a 6-game hitting streak. He's 3 for 9 in this series. And a good-looking young outfielder has driven in 50 runs. Reaches for Smith now.
Good-looking swing by Jose Guillen. A pitch out away from him. Outfielders have to be aware of the spongy turf here today. Could be some extra bases. A hot day, this turf is really bouncy.
Mark Smith is the batter. Usually you see a lot of right-handed hitters with Randy Johnson on the mound. There's ball 1 to Smith, who started the season 0 for 31. Since then he's hit .295 to bring his average up to .211.
Left-handed hitters are batting $169 against the big unit this year. That's 169. And you know the left-handers he faces are probably the best ones in the game.
Yeah. Yeah, because the ordinary left-handed hitters don't even play when he pitches. 2 balls and no strikes. Randy Johnson made his major league debut as a member of the Montreal Expos against the Pirates back in September of '88. And he won that game 9-4, giving up 2 runs in 5 innings. Looper to right. Derek Bell over toward the line. 2 outs. Guillen back to first. Johnson had a terrible start this season. There were reports that the Mariners did not offer him a contract over the winter, and he began his free agent year in kind of a funk. It appeared the numbers were very bad. In fact, in March and April he was 1-1 with an ERA of 6.12. But in the last month of July he's gone 2-3 with an ERA of 3. Ramos Ramirez is the batter. Ramirez a .229 hitter with 5 home runs. That's strike 1 to the good-looking young third baseman.
At the press conference last night, Randy Johnson described his season as a roller coaster, and I guess that would be accurate. A lot of stuff going on mentally out there, though, in Seattle. Tough environment for him to pitch under with all the speculation and constant talk about the deal. Not to mention a bullpen that never bails you out either.
Foul back, 1 ball and 2 strikes. You saw those strikeout numbers earlier on Randy Johnson. He actually has the highest figure in average strikeouts per 9 innings anybody ever to pitch in the major leagues. 10.5 strikeouts per 9 innings, best in major league history. Nolan Ryan second at 9.6. Sandy Koufax third, 9.4. Runner goes, and it's lifted foul. Pirates might be expected to try to use their running game today. Guillen is 3 for 5 in steals. There have been 23 steals and 36 attempts against Johnson this year.
Their best base stealer, Tony Womack, on the bench today.
Montreal leads San Diego 1-0 after 2. That pitch is ball 2. Ramirez was ready to head for the dugout.
Ramirez might argue that one. Kidding me? I'm out. Don't make me stand in there again.
Yeah.
This is the backdoor slider. He might not have gotten the call because Brad was set up inside. He actually missed his spot.
Bagwell goes up to catch that high throw. Tallest man ever to perform in a major league game. Randy Johnson 6'10". Eric Hillman also a 6'10" lefty. And by the time he releases the ball, the hitter feels like it's coming from about 40 feet in front of him. There's a strikeout, number 3 for Johnson. No runs, a hit, and a man left. And after 2, it's 0-0. And it's 0-0. Brad Ausmus takes a breaking ball for ball 1. Brad on a 3-game hitting streak has 5 hits in his last 9 at bats. He'll be followed by Randy Johnson and Craig Biggio. Fastball's fouled away, and it's 1-1 to Brad. Our home run contestant is Carol Canford. And Carol can win $1,000 if Jeff Bagwell, the player she selected, hits a home run here in the 3rd inning. The Astros will have to put a rally together to get Bagwell to the plate. He would be the 6th-man due up in this inning. 2 balls and a strike, but if Jeff connects, it's $1,000 for Carroll, or if he should hit his first career grand slam, it's $25,000 for Carroll.
I think that's what Carroll's shooting for.
Yeah, well,
knowing that he was scheduled to hit 6th in this inning, she's thinking ahead.
She is thinking ahead. And she's also thinking ahead to August 3rd at Cynthia Woods Mitchell Pavilion, when she can see John Fogerty live now. She's won tickets. No matter what happens with Bagwell, she gets to see Fogerty. So she can't lose, Jim.
Doesn't get any better than that.
No.
That's a win-win situation for Carroll.
3-2 to Brad Ausmus.
I'm going to be humming CCR songs in my head the rest of the game. Every time we do this contest, that happens to me.
That's it. Hey, that concert's tomorrow night. Fastball, strike 3. Van Poppel pitching a very strong game. Gets his 2nd strikeout. Now he will face a rather large strike zone, that of Randy Johnson.
Good low fastball. Looks like there'll be a little leeway from the umpire on that pitch. Randy got a couple down there. Now Van Poppel does.
Johnson admitted last night in the press conference he does not like hitting. There's strike 1. He's 1 for 7 this year in interleague play. 143 career hitter, no RBIs. Said he just likes to concentrate on pitching. 1-1 to count.
That's fine.
He said his hit that he got this year was a joke. Pops it up. Kevin Young in. 2 outs for Van Poppel, who's allowed only a double by Spires in the 1st. Craig Biggio, who lined to right to open the game, comes around for the 2nd time against Van Poppel, who was a big leaguer as a teenager. As you mentioned, Jim, he was rushed to the majors, but now still young enough at age 26 to have learned a few lessons along the way and to make good on a career.
Doesn't have the overpowering arm that he once had, but he still has a good enough fastball that he could pitch at this level. You're right. There's plenty of guys who first get to the big leagues at 25 or 26 and go on to have nice careers.
He became only the 4th teenager to start a game for Oakland. Ball 1 to Biggio. That was back in '91. Tim Conroy, Mike Morgan, Vida Blue, the other 3 as teenagers to start games for the A's.
Mike Morgan still going.
Sure is. 1 ball, 1 strike. Van Poppel notched his first major league win against Texas in '93. Now trying to beat the other Texas club. Big curveball makes it 1-2 to Biggio. Seems to be gaining a little confidence as he goes along here, Jim.
Yeah, you pointed out in the open it is an interesting situation for him because so many of the eyes of the media are on this ball game because it's Randy Johnson's debut with the Astros. But if he pitches a very good game, he'll get a lot of credit as well.
2 balls and 2 strikes. The Pirates pitching actually is slightly better than the Astros. Pirates have the 3rd lowest ERA in the league. The Astros are 4th. And that's a big reason for the acquisition of Johnson, because the Astros pitching staff is only 11th in strikeouts compared to the Pirates ranking of 6th in the league in strikeouts. Biggio lunges at a breaking ball and strikes out. That's number 3 for Van Poppel. And in the middle of the third, it's 0-0. 0-0 ball game. Bottom of the third opens up from Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh with Lou Collier the batter. He's on a 4-game hitting streak. Check swing looper goes foul, and that's strike 1 to Collier. Randy Johnson has allowed only a 1-out single in the second to Jose Guillen. Randy Johnson was traded by Montreal to Seattle in that stretch drive deal for Mark Langston, among others. 133 career wins for the big unit, 78 losses. Broken bat, liner to short, and Gutierrez goes to his knees for out number 1.
Friday, August 7th, Astros play the Phillies. It's a 7:05 start. First 10,000 kiddos, 14 and under, will receive a backpack, as the one picture there on your screen.
Nice looking backpack for back to school week.
Good friends at Coca-Cola and Albertsons providing that.
Van Poppel is 1 for 5 at the plate. He bounces one high. Biggio hurrying in, and it gets over him and out into right center field. Van Poppel with a chopping hit. Hit number 2 of the day for the Bucks. Biggio realized he had to get there and get to that ball before it took the high hop, but he just couldn't travel that distance required.
Talked about the spongy hot turf here in Pittsburgh. Biggio had to come hard on it. Probably figuring if he lays back and tries to play that big hop, no chance to get Van Poppel, and I believe he was right.
Yes, he was.
And now Todd can go home this winter and tell everybody he got to knock off the big unit.
You're right. Well, he has a right to brag about it. They won't remember how the hit looked, probably.
He doesn't have to describe it.
No.
Just have the box score in his back pocket.
Kevin Polkovich is next. Ball 1 to Polkovich, who is quite a story himself. And Polkovich this year hitting under 200, but last year he caused the Astros all sorts of problems and made a nice debut in the National League. 2 balls and no strikes to Kevin, an occasional starter. Sometimes it's short. Today at second base. As Jim mentioned, Tony Womack is on the bench. Womack is a left-handed hitter.
I bet you Tony wasn't arguing to be put in there either.
3-0 to Polkovich, who hit .273 last season for 245 at bats. He had a hit and an RBI Friday night. Drove in 2 runs in a start in Houston in May. 3-1 now to Kevin, who a year ago in spring training was not invited to Major League camp, was stocking shelves to earn some extra money as he worked in minor league camp. And now he walks to make it first and second and 1 out for Jason Kendall.
Could be a critical at bat here. Kendall, the best in the National League at hitting left-handed pitchers. Van Poppel pitching very well. I'm sure Larry Dierker feels like eventually his club will get to Todd. Maybe not. It's just a big matchup for Randy Johnson.
Johnson gets ahead of Kendall. There's strike 1. Jason, a good contact hitter. Doesn't strike out a whole lot. They might choose to put a play on. He's hit awfully well against southpaws this year. 1 ball and 1 strike. Quite often, if you're sitting where Gene Lamont is, Jim, you feel you would have to generate some offense. On the other hand, at times the big unit can be wild.
Yeah, I would think with Van Poppel at second base they wouldn't be too aggressive.
1 ball and 2 strikes.
That's one of those general sweeping indictments on all pitchers, that they're not good base runners. Maybe Todd is better than the average pitcher.
Manny Martinez on deck.
I didn't realize the big unit had a basketball scholarship too when he went to USC.
Yeah, until we read that today. Didn't know that.
Oh!
Fly ball right center. Everett over for the grab. Van Poppel will hold at second base. 2 outs. St. Louis and Atlanta are tied 1-1, middle of the 4th inning. Cubs haven't started yet. They're at home against Colorado. The Rockies come in here next. The Astros go to Florida next. To make room for Randy Johnson on the Astros roster, J.R. Phillips has been designated for assignment, which gives the Astros 10 days to decide what to do with him. Larry Dierker has Sean Bergman scheduled to start tomorrow night in Florida against Andy Larkin. And then Tuesday night, Shane Reynolds goes against Levon Hernandez in a rematch of that Astrodome game a few days ago. Wednesday night, it's Mike Hampton and Jesus Sanchez. That's an afternoon game, actually, Wednesday.
Yes, it is.
So the Astros get home a little earlier, and then Thursday they have a day off for the Wives Gala in the Astrodome. So we don't know yet about the rotation for the weekend. Randy Johnson will be pitching sometime this weekend against the Philadelphia Phillies. 0-1 to Manny Martinez. Strike outside, and it's 0-2.
One of those pitches you turn back to the umpire and say, you hit it. I would imagine the atmosphere in the Astrodome next homestand is going to be pretty rowdy.
That's what we understand. We understand the man on the street's very excited about that in Houston these days. No balls and 2 strikes. So a lot of the TV crews are here from Houston to cover this game today and the trade, and they were at the news conference last night. People like Bob Allen and Steve Mark Berman. We know John Granato would be here, but he has a show to do after this game.
Gifford's here too.
Giff Nielsen inside, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. It's quite a day in Houston sports history.
Should have sent the weather people up here to report on the heat this guy's throwing. 98 miles an hour right there. Pretty good tradition of fireballers with the Astros, with Ryan and Scott and Richard. Now you can throw the big units name into that list. Larry Dierker.
Soft fly ball. Bagwell over into foul ground. And out of his reach. Still a ball and 2 strikes. Johnson has already pitched 13 starts out of his 23 in double figures in strikeouts this year. He's had 2 15 strikeout games. And he had back-to-back shutouts July 11th and 16th against Anaheim and Minnesota. A 2-0 win and a 3-0 win. A 3-0 win over Minnesota was a 1-hitter. 1-2 with 2 outs and 2 on in the 3rd. Foul back, still a ball and 2 strikes to Young. To Martinez, rather. Young on deck. Randy Johnson became the 4th pitcher to win 4 straight major league strikeout crowns from 92 through 95, joining Rube Waddell, Dizzy Dean, and Bob Feller. Up the middle, Biggio will get it to second and get the force on a very nice play. The ball wasn't hit hard, but Biggio with a sure-handed play to the backhand side gets the force. And it's no runs a hit and 2 men left. 0-0. 0-0 game after 3 here at Three Rivers in Pittsburgh. And here's our trivia question, brought to you by your Houston area Ford dealers, who are the only brothers to be inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Well, we just saw the Florida Marlins. They have a player named John Wehner, W-E-H-N-E-R. He's a native of Pittsburgh. There were a couple of brothers named Wehner, but their name wasn't spelled that way. It was W-A-N-E-R. Lloyd and Paul, Big Poison and Little Poison. So do you want to make that our guess?
Yeah.
Okay. Todd Van Poppel in a 0-0 game. We'll go to Spires, Bell, and Bagwell here in the 4th inning. So many great players through the long tradition of the Pittsburgh Pirates, and we've seen some drawings of that new stadium. It is a dynamic looking stadium to be built on the river, just not that far at all from here. A few hundred feet, Jim.
Due to open in the year 2001, and this club, if they keep these good young pitchers and the position players that are here develop like they expect them to, they could be a very good club when the new ballpark opens up.
They really could be. Bill Spires doubled to right and continued to third on an error. There's strike one. He has the only hit as the only Houston base runner against Van Poppel. Francisco Cordova, Jason Schmidt, John Lieber, all three good-looking right-handers and all young. Spires to right with some good lift on this liner, and it will be off the wall. Spires heads to second. The arm of Guillen. Whoa, what a throw on the fly. And Spires was hustling all the way to make it a double. Otherwise, Guillen would have gunned down his 13th runner this year.
You take nothing for granted when you're running on that kid's arm.
He is amazing, isn't he? Spires gets his second double, 23rd of the year.
Yeah, just watch and enjoy this kid. He has got a cannon.
Right on the bag. It's a great view of it. Derek Bell's the batter. He struck out in the first inning. He's strike one. Spires was at third when Derek batted with one out. Now he's trying to at least advance him if he can't drive him in. Bagwell's on deck. Good mustard on the fastball. It's 0-2 for Van Poppel.
Astros typically in the early and middle innings play for the big inning. They don't think about giving themselves up to advance runners. When you've got Randy Johnson on the mound, you can play little ball. You can scratch for a run here, a run there. You got to believe you get 3 runs, a real good chance of winning.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Derek Bell. Van Poppel started this year in spring training as a non-roster invitee by the Texas Rangers. Began the year Double-A Tulsa. Made 1 start there, then jumped up to Oklahoma City. Contract purchased by the Rangers June 20th. Bell to center field. Chasing it deep is Martinez. And on the warning track, he makes a good catch. Here's the tag by Spires. He's at third on a long first out by Bell. Mike Cubbage welcomes Bill Spires for the second time, and Jeff Bagwell will try to get him home. He flied to right in the first. Infielders come in.
Earlier in the game, when the Astros had this situation in the first inning, they kept the infield back. But now in the fourth, watching Randy Johnson pitch for a few innings, Gene Lamont's going to be a little stingy.
Strike one to Bagwell. Van Poppel in a 0-0 game against Randy Johnson, pitching very well. He calls out his catcher Jason Kendall. His first win of this year came in interleague play. He was working for the Rangers, and he beat Arizona on the road. That was his first big league win since August of '96. And Poppel spent a couple of days last year with Nolan Ryan in San Antonio working on his mechanics. That was about a month after he signed with Texas after being released by Anaheim and Kansas City both last year. 0-2.
Good tight slider right there. I think I like that pitch better than his curveball. That was a nasty slider.
Yeah, with a late break. Astros getting their first look at Van Poppel. Bagwell fouls it, and it's still 0-2. Billy Wagner made a start last night for Double-A Jackson, beginning his rehab assignment from the injury. And he struck out the side, pitching 1 inning, throwing 15 pitches to get those 3 strikeouts.
Whack, whack, whack.
Yeah. And Billy is due to make 2 more outings back-to-back and then rejoin the Astros Friday night for the opener of that homestand against the Phillies. He'll have today off. Bagwell line drive hit into center field. Spires scores to make it 1-0 Houston. Bagwell on the 0-2 pitch rifled one for RBI number 69.
Billy.
You can see Kendall was setting up outside. The ball never got there. It was up in Baggy's eyes, and he jumped on it.
Spires, after his second double, comes home to score. It's 1-0. Moises Alou bats. He flied to right in the second inning. Bagwell back on the throw by Van Poppel. The Astros lead the league in steals with 114. Bagwell has 16 of those himself. Jason Kendall has thrown out 38% of those trying to steal against him this year. Carl Everett's on deck. We're in the fourth. Alou leans back, and it's ball one to Mo. What a year he's having with 93 runs batted in. He's hit 5 homers in his last 11 games. And he really was all smiles, along with the other Astros position players, to greet the news of Randy Johnson being acquired in that trade. 2 balls and no strikes. Bagwell said before the game, Jim, it takes the pressure off everybody on the club.
Well, I think they just feel like they've got obviously a heck of a weapon, and it's going to make their task a little bit easier. But he also made the point that we can't get giddy. We still have to go out and win. We have to realize we're in a pretty good pennant race here with the Cubs.
Absolutely. Cubbies are playing outstanding baseball. Alou fouls it back, 2-1. We look for some outstanding crowds in that homestand beginning Friday night. Phillies, Milwaukee, and the Cubs, all teams in contention for a wild card spot at this time, and the Cubs certainly in contention for the division.
I would think baseball fever would really be hitting Houston hard right about now.
St. Louis leads Atlanta 2-1 now. Cardinals still batting in the fourth inning. Bobby Witt drove in a run with a double. Cardinal pitchers continue to bat 8th. Cardinals made that interesting trade with the Texas Rangers, and the Rangers are pretty well fortified to try to make it an all-Texas World Series this year. Alou goes around, and it's 2-2. Moises, of course, well familiar with what it takes to win a World Series, and he talked about the acquisition of Darren Dalton last year during the stretch drive by the Marlins. Dalton made a difference in the clubhouse. Alou strikes out. 2 out for Van Poppel. What is the answer to that trivia question about the brothers from the same team to go into the Hall of Fame? Paul and Lloyd Wainer of the Pirates. Tremendous hitting clubs for those Pittsburgh teams. 25 world champions. They won in 71 as well. 79. Ball to Everett. In fact, during the Jim Leland years managing this club, they won division titles in 90, 91, and 92. And Sophie Masloff, the mayor of Pittsburgh in 91, made a push at that time for a new stadium, which was turned down. And the stadium they're going to build is similar to what she had in mind along the river. Maybe she was a little before her time with that idea, but it has since come into reality. 2 balls, no strikes to Everett. Carl's a .362 career hitter against the Bucks. Polkovich flips for the force to Collier. The Astros get a run on 2 hits and leave a man. They're in front 1-0 in the fourth. 1-0. The Astros lead on a Jeff Bagwell single going to the bottom of the fourth inning. We'll take a look back at what's happened in Astros baseball history on August 1st, 1995. Brought to you by Sonic. Greg Biggio started the first of his club record consecutive game streak, now at 492 to bring you up to date on that as of today for Biggio. Close to that number 500 figure. That'll happen on the next homestand. Randy Johnson throws ball 1 to Kevin Young. Young struck out looking back in the second. Remarkable run of consecutive games for Biggio. 2 balls and no strikes. Randy Johnson comes in with 1. It's 2-1. Pete Schurek's spot being skipped in the Astros rotation. Johnson, Bergman, Reynolds, and Hampton the next 4 games for Houston. 2-2. Jerry Hunsaker, we're told, will come to Miami and talk over the Astros pitching rotation with Larry Durker and Vern Rule during the next couple of days. Whoa, what a play by Bill Spires on a liner to his left to Rob Young for the first out. Spires having quite a day today. 2 doubles, a run scored, and now he spears a tough one to his left.
Oh, this is a great play by Spires. Tremendous reaction. Ball was smoked. Take another peek.
There's 1 out. Jose Guillen got the first hit off Randy Johnson. There's ball 1. That play's so big for Johnson because he's protecting a 1-0 lead. Looked like a double into the left field corner by the leadoff man in the inning, Jim.
It makes his job a lot easier. Ooh.
In the dirt. 1-1 to Guillen.
That's the thing. The hitters have to be geared for the heater. So when he throws that slider, almost impossible unless he really hangs it.
He's kind of learning these hitters on the fly. He doesn't know much about them. Foul ball, 1-2. He was joking. He said when he was traded from Montreal to Seattle, he didn't even know there was another league, Jim.
I'm not so sure he was joking, Brownie. Said at the press conference last night, he was pretty straight-faced about it. Pretty focused guy.
That trade was in '89. He was 0-4 for Montreal that year and then went 7-9 for Seattle after the deal. Foul ball back.
And there are certain pitchers where it's very important that they know the hitter's strength and weaknesses. But a guy like Randy Johnson, he's got such good stuff. He's pretty much just going to pitch his game. Obviously, the more he learns, he'll be even better. But not as important for him to know the hitters as, say, a soft tosser. Has to really set hitters up.
One reason for obtaining a Randy Johnson is to get a dominant starter. A man who is a strikeout pitcher who can match up with the Greg Maddoxes and Kevin Browns and Kerry Woods of the world. That's one reason for doing it. Be a leader for the pitching staff to set a tone.
I think that's the primary reason for doing it. I think the Astros felt pretty confident that they could win the division without Randy. This certainly makes it easier, and it's obviously a long way to go yet. But when you start looking at getting beyond that first round of the playoffs, pitching becomes so much more the focus.
In '95 with Seattle, he won 2 games against the Yankees in the division series. In '97, he was 0-2 against Baltimore in the division series. He made 2 starts in the league championship series for Seattle against Cleveland in '95. Pitched well, but was 0-1 with a 2.35 ERA in those games. But that's really his assignment. The Astros hope to match up well in those big ball games. Foul back, still 1-2, because they want to go much further than they did last year.
Well, you know, Jerry Hunsaker said it in the newspaper last week when he looked at the club and evaluated what he had on the field. Is that this team is an awfully good club, and you don't get that many chances.
And he did not have to trade a player off his big league club to get Johnson for 2 months. The Astros were very careful not to disrupt the chemistry of the team. They did give up good young minor league talent, however. 2 balls and 2 strikes, but the players are really so happy because they want to shrink the timeline here. They want to go for it now.
You don't know when you're getting an opportunity to go for it again. Whether free agency, injuries, guys having down years, you don't know when the opportunity will come up again. Hopefully it comes up every year, but that's typically not the case.
As for Randy Johnson, he packed yesterday for 2 months in Houston. At some point, his wife and 3 small children will come to Houston. His only memory of being there was being sent down to the minors by Montreal. Swing and a miss, and Guillen strikes out. Strikeout completed on the throw down to Bagwell, and it's number 4 for Johnson.
Left fielder Mark Smith.
Yeah, that's the strikeout slider. Hitter sees it about thigh high in the middle of the plate when he starts his swing, and it just runs down in the dirt under the hands.
And for Randy Johnson, who just got a brief visit from Brad Ausmus, a good little test there for his catcher that Brad can stop that slider in the dirt and get him some strikeouts, and he can have the confidence to throw that pitch low.
But Brad, typically he'll run down to the bullpen every time he catches and catch the starter for a little while. He might have taken a few extras from Randy.
He's down there the whole time. There's ball 1 from Smith. It's an important time, as you indicated. Johnson switching leagues, not being that familiar with the hitters, but with his power style, he is not the scientific, precise type of pitcher who really has to know nuances about hitters, is he?
No, I think he's a stuff guy. He's got a great fastball, a great slider, and he commands them well.
Two balls and a strike to Mark Smith.
He's the kind of guy that can look in at the hitter and say, here comes a fastball, hit it if you can.
He's won 1 Cy Young Award, and he's finished 2nd in the voting 2 other times, including last year to Roger Clemens. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Last year he became the Mariners' first 20-game winner and clinched the American League West championship for the 2nd time in 3 years. He pitched that clinching game. This is his 10th year in the major leagues. He was born in Walnut Creek, California, and he lives in Glendale, Arizona. Strike 3 call. That's number 5. After 4, it's 1-0 Houston.
Welcome back. Astros 1, Pirates nothing as we move to the 5th. Next Saturday, the 8th, the Astros play the Phillies. It's a 7:05 start. First 15,000 kids 14 and under will receive a Jeff Bagwell growth chart poster from Exxon. 713-6 Astros, the number to call.
Ricky Gutierrez with the Astros in front 1-0 takes ball 1 from Todd Van Poppel in the 5th inning. Gutierrez flied to right in the 2nd. Two 2-0 to Gutierrez. Ausmus and Randy Johnson to follow here in the Astros 5th. They won a 2-1 ball game yesterday behind Jose Lima's 5-hitter. 3-0. Lima going the distance. Mike Hampton went 6 2/3 innings Friday night, helping the bullpen. Gutierrez walks on 4 straight, leading it off here in the 5th.
That's the other thing Randy Johnson will do for you too, is he'll pitch a ton of innings. He's got 6 complete games already this year.
Now he does so many things for the staff. There are a lot of positives. Brad Ausmus was caught looking on a 3-2 count in the 3rd. Astros trying to sweep a 3-game series for the 5th time this year. They have 2 sweeps of 3-game road series so far, at Montreal and at Detroit. Pitch out, and Gutierrez staying at first on ball 1. Sean Bergman pitches tomorrow night in Florida. He's 3-0 lifetime against the Marlins. Andy Larkin is his mound opponent. Bergman's won 10 games.
The unfortunate thing is that somebody's going to have to come out of the starting rotation, and everybody's done a pretty good job. Everybody's done what they've been asked to do and more. But when you're going for it, that's what happens.
Well, Larry Dierker and Vern Rule, Jerry Hunsaker are really agonizing over that right now. A position player J.R. Phillips has been designated for assignment to get the Astros to a 12-man staff. 1 and 2. The Astros don't need as many bench players as some teams because they have a lot of Iron Men on their club and guys who play every day and produce. It's hard right now for Larry Dierker to play a Richard Hidalgo with the way the 3 outfielders are producing. Biggio and Bagwell never want a day off. So he can carry an extra pitcher. Bouncing out in front of the plate. Van Poppel's way off with that one. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Mets are unloading on the Dodgers. It's 6-1 New York in the 3rd on a 2-run homer by Butch Husky.
It's a pretty good pitch if you're playing stickball or cricket.
Yeah, cricket.
Baseball not quite as effective. But you never know when there's going to be a cricket scout in the stand, so it's a good idea to mix one in every now and then.
Brant Brown homered for the Cubs, his 13th. 1-0 Chicago over Colorado in the 1st. Cubs continue to stay on the Astros' heels. They have 9 games remaining with each other, including that series coming up in 2 weekends in Houston. A lot of fans are pointing for that one. We urge you to get your tickets right away for it. Looping liner, base hit center field. Gutierrez to second on a single by Ausmus. He didn't try to get too fancy with that one. He just reached down and out and lofted it over the second baseman for a 4-game hitting streak for Brad.
Take a peek. It's a good pitch. It's a very good pitch. Just a nice job of staying on the ball by Brad.
Randy Johnson will be asked to bunt now with runners at first and second and nobody out. Johnson popped up in the 3rd inning.
The thing Randy has to remember if he gets the bunt down is to run.
Yeah,
I've seen American League and the Interleague, you know, they're so focused on getting their bunt down, they drop it down and then they look at it and forget to run.
They're probably admiring it. They're so happy just to get a bunt down because a lot of the American League pitchers really are worried about not being able to execute in a situation like this.
Yeah, this is tough. He has not practiced this, I would imagine, very much all year, maybe a little bit before the interleague games. He squares all the way around. Most guys don't do that anymore. Most guys just pivot. The only other guy, Greg Maddux, squares all the way around. Brings that back leg even.
Ramirez came over to talk with Van Poppel. They have a forced play at 3rd. 1 ball and 1 strike. That's a big strike zone for Todd Van Poppel to shoot for. 6 feet 10 inches of Randy Johnson.
Imagine Randy was told his primary job as a hitter is don't get hurt.
He takes again. It's 1-2 now. He has Kevin Young charging, and Young is very close to home plate by the time the ball arrives. Well, the plan is for Randy to just pitch for Houston for 2 months and worry about next year's contract later. Just concentrate on trying to get to postseason play first of all. He bunted at it and missed, striking out. 5 strikeout for Van Poppel. Biggio's next. Biggio's line to right and struck out. Gutierrez at second, Ausmus at first in a 1-0 game in the 5th. Double play ball. Polkovich gets it to Collier. Throw to first in the dirt. They don't turn to. And Gutierrez goes to 3rd. Look made to order, but Collier had a low throw for Kevin Young, and Biggio beats the wrap.
Biggio gets down the line so well it has to be just about perfect. Polkovich sat back on the ball a little bit. Collier was
that close.
Yeah. pitch hitting it, you got to come and get that ball. Really got to charge it hard and start the double play that way.
The Pirates are not happy with their defensive play this year. They feel they have missed the opportunities to make a lot of plays they should have made. Bill Spires follows. He's 2 for 2, both doubles into the right field corner. Aramis Ramirez even with the bag at third, and Biggio takes his lead now. That's ball 1 to Spires. The Pirates have some of the top prospects of any organization, including Chris Benson, a right-hander who was the #1 overall choice in the draft a couple of years ago. Benson's at AAA this year. He could be a part of their rotation next season.
It's a kid out of Clemson, isn't it?
Yes. 1 ball and 1 strike, even though he has an ERA of over 5. They really rushed him through the minors, and Gene Lamont may have Benson on his staff next year. The Pirates feel that he's learning a lot of valuable lessons against players who have been playing pro ball for 6 and 7 years right now. They also have Chad Hermanson, who's an outfielder. He was the #1 choice, and he might be ready next year. 2 balls and a strike. Incidentally, the Pirates were talking trade right up to the deadline. And apparently the Astros trade with Seattle for Randy Johnson prevented the Pirates from making a deal. They had something in the works, but it was contingent upon Cleveland making a trade with Seattle. And it would have brought Brian Giles to Pittsburgh, according to reports. Giles would have gone to Seattle and then come to Pittsburgh if that trade had gone through. There's an interesting column today. It was carried in the Pittsburgh paper by Tracy Ringlesby of the Rocky Mountain News, one of the fine veteran baseball writers, with stories about the deals that might have been made for Randy Johnson and were not completed, involving the Dodgers, the Yankees, and the Indians. It's 2-2 to Spires. According to Ringlesby, the Dodgers offered Ishmael Valdez, but Randy Johnson didn't depart for Los Angeles for him because Wilton Guerrero, Darren Dreifert, and Ted Lilly were the desires of the Mariners, and Dodgers didn't want to give up Dreifert for Randy Johnson and those 2 others. So that deal didn't happen. The Yankees didn't want to give up Ramiro Mendoza. According to Ringlesby, they were willing to give up Hideki Irabu, Ricky Ledee, and Mike Lowell, but not Mendoza.
I thought that Yankee deal was contingent on the Yankees being able to sign Johnson, though, that they would be willing to give up Irabu and Ledee and those guys.
That was another report that we've heard. And the Mariners wanted Dave Burba for Johnson from Cleveland, along with Brian Giles and Enrique Wilson, but Cleveland did not want to part with Burba. And from what we've heard, Drayton McClain has told some writers that as of a half an hour before the trade deadline, there was no deal for the Astros. And things really clicked in a hurry after that. Grounder up the middle. Polkovich to his right gets Spires, and in the 5th inning for the Astros, no runs, a hit, 2 men left. It's 1-0 Houston. Gorgeous day in Pittsburgh. Randy Johnson has a 1-0 lead for the Astros. He's allowed 2 hits. The Astros have collected 4 hits off Todd Van Poppel. Aramis Ramirez takes it at strike 1 to the rookie third baseman, who struck out in the 2nd inning. We're in the last of the 5th. Ramirez checked in at 2:29 at game time. No balls and 2 strikes. Impressive the way Johnson keeps his slider down to right-handed batters, Jim.
Yeah. He's just not a thrower, obviously. You don't get his credentials and his history without knowing how to pitch.
Deep drive to left. Alou back and up. It's gone. Aramis Ramirez, it's his 6th home run, and that ties it at 1. It came on an 0-2 pitch.
Home run that Randy Johnson has surrendered this year. Tried to throw his slider down and in, never got it there. Just didn't finish off the pitch and stayed away. And this kid is one of the bright young prospects for the Pirates.
Lou Collier looks at ball one. Pirates are dead last in the league in homers. That's only their 71st of the year, and it ties it. 2 balls and no strikes. Johnson referred to the home runs he's allowed this year. As Jim mentioned, 19 with Seattle in 160 innings. But in the Kingdome, home runs happen quite often. And he does look forward to pitching in the more spacious parks in the National League. That ball was hit well, though.
He's been a dome pitcher going from Montreal to Seattle and now Houston. Oh, man, that's nasty.
Yeah. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Todd Van Poppel is on deck with Collier batting.
Seattle press not at all happy with the deal, Brownie.
Yeah, we're hearing some things
Oh,
that they're
man.
very disappointed. David Segui has ripped the trade.
Steve Kelly from the Seattle Times. This wasn't a trade. It was a concession speech. It wasn't a trade. It was a beanball aimed at the temple of every Mariner fan from Portland to Juneau.
Wow. Well, of course, the players and David Segui, who had the incident with Randy Johnson, got into a fight with him in the clubhouse about 10 days or so ago. Had that perspective, and players quite often don't think it's a good trade if nobody who can help them in the big leagues right now arrives in the deal, and that's the case.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's very difficult to judge. Now, the Astros can probably judge the results of this trade by November. For the Mariners, it might take years.
That's why you have to trust your scouting people, and they've got certainly 2 very good prospects in the deal. Just think back to the Larry Anderson for Jeff Bagwell deal.
Swing, and Collier goes down on strikes for number 6 of the day for Johnson.
Remember when that deal happened, Larry Anderson said, man, I can't believe they traded me for some double-A guy. Yeah. This is a Blue Bayou, Linda Ronstadt style.
Well, Randy Johnson, who is an avid photographer, threw one by Collier that he probably couldn't even see. Now Todd Van Poppel, who reached on an infield hit, comes up for the 2nd time. Ball one. You're so right about that tradition. Hard throwers for the Houston Astros. Johnson fits right in. But this Astros staff is not what you would term a strikeout staff, so he lends that quality to the starting rotation. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Astros team is a good team in the field, and we saw that with Bill Spires supporting Johnson on the line drive by Young in the last inning, but he can get himself out of a lot of jams without plays having to be made behind him.
I know fans that have seen him pitch over the years. He's a really competitive, combative guy on the mound. He likes to be out there to the bitter end.
Two and two. Johnson will turn 35 in September, and he's had back surgery in 1996. Strike 3 call on a backdoor slider, and that's the 7th strikeout for Johnson today. Looks like he's into a pretty nice rhythm, JD.
Yeah, I don't think he's missed a beat. He looks very comfortable out there. Not happy about something, shaking his head. I'll be thinking back to the home run pitch. Sometimes that lingers with you.
He can. Kevin Polkovich takes strike 1. He has a fly ball to left and a walk. Pirates really battled the Astros last season for the Central Division title. Polkovich started to go, couldn't stop his swing. It's 0-2. This year Pittsburgh 10 games under, but with very competitive pitching. He struck him out, and that is number 8. After the home run by Ramirez, Johnson strikes out the side to make it a 1-1 game after 5. Van Poppel is standing tall today against 6'10" Randy Johnson. Van Poppel in a 1-1 game through 5 works to Bell, Bagwell, and Alou here in the 6th inning. Derek Bell's 0 for 2. He struck out and hit a deep drive to the warning track in center field in the 4th. Ball one to Bell. Somebody asked him what he was thinking when he heard of the Randy Johnson trade, and he said World Series. Fastball, and it's a strike to make it 1-1 to Derek.
I think the thinking in the clubhouse was that before the trade was done, no matter what playoff scenario they were in, the Astros would be the underdogs. Now that the trade has been done, pretty much an even matchup.
2 balls and a strike. Well, you start to think of all sorts of things now that things have changed with the addition of Johnson to the Astros. The Astros are playing .600 baseball right now. Atlanta's at .658. San Diego's at .645. Backhanded, but not cleanly by Ramirez, and Bell will get on. Ramirez saved a double by getting over into foul ground. The ball was fair when it passed the bag at third. Bell gets a hit, and he leads off the 6th inning with a single.
First baseman Jeff Bagwell.
Ramirez takes it off the heel of the glove. Infield hit for Derek Bell.
That's a tough play.
That is a tough play. I don't think he's really smoothed out defensively yet.
Jeff Bagwell's the batter. Balk. Yeah, he dropped the baseball when he was going into the stretch, and that is a balk, getting Bell to second base. Second balk of the year for Van Poppel as a Pirate. And that's a tough one to swallow. That very seldom happens in a big league game.
Yeah, you know, and I still don't see the reason for that. I know it's the rule and it's the right call. To my understanding, the balk rule was put in place to prevent the pitcher from deceiving the base runner. And I'm not quite sure what the deception was there.
Strike to Bagwell. Who do you think
Pitchers Union
the balk rule anyway?
Wasn't a pitcher. Pitchers Union needs to hire a Barry Scheck or somebody and get a good lobbyist and get some of these rules changed.
Whoa. Fastball in, driving Bagwell back. 1 ball and 1 strike to Jeff. Pitchers continue to work him hard inside and up with the fastballs. They've been doing that much of the year.
That was one of the knocks on Van Poppel, that he was a little bit soft, didn't have that moxie on the mound, wouldn't challenge guys inside, but we haven't seen that today.
No, we haven't. Bagwell to center. Martinez makes the grab. Looked a little uncertain, but he takes care of the first out. Bell holding at second. Alou will follow. Moises is 0 for 2 in this game. Talking about the winning percentages of the Braves, .653, Padres .645, and the Astros .600. The Astros might entertain thoughts of overtaking one or both of their clubs in front of them in winning percentage in the National League to get home field advantage for the playoffs, Jim.
Sure, they're thinking about that.
Ground ball goes foul. 0-1. There's risk in any trade. Certainly this deal is fraught with risk for the Astros. It's very much of a short-term nature. Getting a rent-a-pitcher, if you will, for 2 months. The future uncertain for Randy Johnson beyond that. On the other hand, the players like it, and Alou talked about it too. He said this really makes us focus on the next 2 months and play very hard. Time horizon is short, and players seem to like that. At this time of year anyway. No balls and 2 strikes.
I think a deal like this, even with a good club as the Astros were, can really energize everybody.
Drayton McClain reached deep. Randy Johnson will cost about an extra $2 million for these 2 months. And the Astros came in with a budget substantially higher than they had had in previous years. So they've had more expenditures all season long, but hopefully the attendance will pick up to offset some of that. Alou rips a drive to left field. Mark Smith with a play. Got a kind of a late break on it, but he made up for some ground, and out number 2 was a backhanded catch by Smith.
It's a tough ball for the left fielder to judge. Right-handed hitter hitting it right at him on a line. Took him a second or two to read it, and then he broke quickly. Nice play.
That's well stated, too, because quite often the outfielder freezes for a moment until he can determine the depth of the fly ball. If you come in, you're really burned on a play like that. Carl Everett will be walked intentionally to work to Ricky Gutierrez. Gutierrez is 0 for 1 with a walk himself, and that came on 4 pitches when he led off the last inning. And Poppel puts Everett aboard, and that'll set up a force at any base on the infield for Gene Lamont's club. Pirates are 30-28 here at home this year. They've drawn some good crowds, and fans are seeing some progress in many areas for this Pittsburgh ball club. They have a couple of highly sought after left-handers in their bullpen, Jason Christensen and Ricardo Rincon. Teams were trying to get one or both of those left-handers from the Pirates come the trade deadline.
Cam Bonifay was very frank. He said if they overpay, we'd be willing to deal them.
There's strike one to Ricky.
They're not really in a dealing mode here. They're in a building mode.
Was it surprising to you that the Braves didn't trade for a closer?
Yeah, I heard they made a run at Jeff Montgomery, but the asking price was too high for him.
Fly ball to left center by Gutierrez. Martinez for the 3rd out. No runs a hit, 2 left. It's 1-1 in the middle of the 6th. The Astros lead the Pirates, or they're tied 1-1 rather. They lead them in hits 5-3. The Pirates have the only error. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Perhaps wishful thinking, as it's Kendall, Martinez, and Young batting for Pittsburgh against Randy Johnson. Kendall, Martinez, and Young a combined 0 for 6 against the big unit today. 3 hits have come from Guillen, Ramirez, and Collier. There's number 4. Kendall is on to make it a 1 for 3 day for him. Kendall has 14 steals and 16 tries. Martinez is 0 for 2. He struck out and grounded into a force. Atlanta leads St. Louis 4-2, top of the 6th inning. Kevin Millwood with the lead. John Frascatore in relief for the Cardinals. Showing bunt. Martinez takes strike 1. Kevin Young's on deck. Giants lead the Phillies 8-2, bottom of the 4th inning. Kirk Reeder against Mike Welch. Bunted foul by Martinez. It's 0-2. Problem with facing a guy like Randy Johnson is it's hard to get a bunt down.
Might be tougher to bunt than he is to hit. You got to kind of turn those shoulders and square up to that big guy. Be a little intimidating.
And he goes down on strikes as he swings away. The pitch is down and in. Martinez whiffs for number 9 for Randy Johnson.
That's some abuse right there. Nice job by Osmus sliding out in front of that ball.
The Astros strikeout high by a pitcher this year is 11 by Jose Lima against the White Sox back on the 2nd of July. That's number 9 for Johnson. Kevin Young's the batter. He's 0 for 2. Ball 1 to Young, who lined into a great diving catch by Bill Spires in the 4th inning. Johnson with a throw over to Bagwell. Bagwell was kidding around with him before the game about how hard he throws to first, wasn't
Yeah, Jeff wanted to know. He said, how often do you go over there? Randy says, a fair amount. Do you throw it very hard?
There's a shot foul. 1-1. Now the players will have some fun with this.
The bogey said, hey, Baggy, you ought to go out there with a glove for each hand.
Mets lead the Dodgers 6-1, top of the 5th inning. Reynoso for the Mets. Bohannon for the Dodgers. crestfallen Dodgers lost in the ninth last night. Young with a bad swing goes to 1-2. That pitch really fooling him down and in.
It's just he throws his slider so hard, and yet it's still 8 to 10 miles an hour off his fastball. He throws the heater 94, 95, and beyond. That slider right there was 85 miles an hour.
Milwaukee 5, Arizona 1, bottom of the fourth. The runner goes. Swing and a miss. The throw gets by Gutierrez off his glove into center field, but Biggio tracks it down. Kendall in on a stolen base. It was a strikeout of Young. That's the 10th strikeout for Johnson. Kendall gets his 15th steal.
This time he goes upstairs with a four-seam fastball. Brad's throw a little bit on the shortstop side, would have been late anyway.
Kendall at second now with 2 outs for Jose Guillen. Guillen is 1 for 2. Pirates are second in steals to the Astros. That's their 112th. 2 fewer than Houston. Strike 1 to Guillen. Cubs are leading now 2-0 at home over the Rockies on an RBI triple by Manny Alexander, and that's in the second inning. Estacio against Mark Clark. 0-2 to Guillen. Cincinnati and Florida play late afternoon. One ball game here in the 6th. The Astros trying for a sweep of this series. Oh, another wicked pitch down and in. Guillen strikes out. Ausmus throws him out to tie the strikeout high by an Astro this year. Johnson gets his 11th. He strikes out the side for the 2nd straight inning, and after 6 it's 1-1. Our game summary today is brought to you by HL&P, more than electricity. Bill Spires 2 for 3. Both of his hits have been doubles. He scored the Astros run in the 4th on a Jeff Bagwell single. Randy Johnson has struck out 11 in his 6 innings. He's thrown 98 pitches through 6. Ramirez hit a homer in the 5th to break up a shutout bid. Van Poppel's thrown 95 pitches, and he too has a fine game going. Moving to the 7th now with a game tied at 1. Brad Ausmus is 1 for 2. Fastball to right field. Guillen backing on it. 1 pitch, 1 out for Van Poppel. Randy Johnson follows. Van Poppel could come to the plate in the bottom of the inning. Pirates are getting a left-hander loose in their bullpen. Jeff Tabaka throwing right now. Might be just to get some work. Strike call to Randy Johnson. He's 0 for 2. Johnson couldn't get a bunt down in the 5th inning, and the Astros, who had 2 men on, nobody out, never did score in that frame.
Man, Dave, it's too bad.
1-1. Randy's made 13 starts in a row, pitching at least 6 2/3 innings. Sharp grounder. Collier. 2 outs.
That ball pretty good, Brownie.
He did. Made solid contact.
You talk about all the numbers, Randy Johnson, the wins and the strikeouts. But just checking out these notes. From May 6th of 94 to May 14th of 98. He had not lost consecutive decisions in 99 games.
Isn't that amazing?
That's a stopper.
And he did lose consecutive decisions in May of this year. And he has lost consecutive decisions the last 2 starts coming into this one. In fact, he lost 3 in a row back in June. And as he acknowledged last night, it's been a tough year for him. Craig Biggio's 0 for 3. And yet he gets a fresh start now. Quite often that can lead to a turnaround, although it seems the turnaround has already occurred for Randy Johnson prior to this trade, Jim.
Yeah, he was pitching well of late.
His club has been in the doldrums, his 10 games out in the AL West after being expected to contend strongly. Biggio rolls one to Ramirez. That's an easy 7th inning for Van Poppel. The fans take their stretch here in Pittsburgh, encouraged by their right-hander, who's standing up to the 6'10" lefty in a 1-1 affair.
We've got the shows you know. KNWS TV 51, Katie Houston.
That's what's been happening elsewhere in the National League today. Cardinals 4, Braves 3 in the 5th inning. And the Padres and Expos are in the 7th, 4-1 San Diego. Giants 9, Phillies 3 in the 5th. Mets 6-1 over the Dodgers in the 5th. Brewers lead the Diamondbacks 5-1 in the 5th. Cubs over the Rockies 3-0 in the 3rd. There's ball 1 to Mark Smith in the bottom of the 7th inning here. It's 1-1. Smith is 0 for 2. He struck out looking in the 4th inning. One of 11 strikeouts for Randy Johnson in his Houston debut. Just correcting that score from Atlanta. It's 4-3 Atlanta over St. Louis in the 7th inning. Foul back, 2 balls and a strike to Smith. Phillies are coming in over the weekend. We should see Randy Johnson in one of those games, Jim.
Yeah, you know, I keep thinking about end up with a Johnson Schilling or a Johnson Kerry Wood matchup. How much fun that would be.
You know it would be. Foul ball back, 2-2 the count. The Astros feel they have plenty of time to adjust their rotation if they should go into postseason play. They're not that concerned about where Johnson fit into the rotation as of now, but he preferred to pitch today. This would be his regularly scheduled day to pitch. So Sean Bergman slides back a day. Bergman was originally scheduled to go in this game. Eric Davis has extended his hitting streak to 20 games for Baltimore. 7-0 Baltimore at Kansas City in the 5th. Liner to left for a hit for Smith. Alou drops the ball. Smith will hold at first base. There's a lead single. The Pirates got a lead single in the 6th inning by Kendall.
Matchup of a couple of former USC Trojans. This time Smith wins the battle. Able to get to a high fastball from Randy Johnson. That's impressive.
The leadoff man has reached 3 innings in a row now for the Bucks. Ramirez hit a leadoff homer in the 5th. Now he's bunting and fouling it for strike 1. Top young talents in the Pirate system has come to the big leagues this year, and he's gotten more than 180 at bats so far. He has only 1 sacrifice bunt for the season.
I think he's been asked to bunt again, Brownie. Or maybe not.
Base hit center field. Smith to second base. First and second, nobody out for number 8 hitter Lou Collier. Johnson's thrown just over 100 pitches. Normally he wouldn't be tiring after that kind of a pitch count, but under the circumstances it might be a little different today, Jim.
Yeah, hot day, a lot of emotion. Sometimes you can get tired out.
The Seattle Mariners put on more air miles than any other team in the major leagues, about 50,000 miles a year in the air. Randy Johnson made mention of that last night. Of course, the Houston travel schedule is not nearly that rigorous, but the Mariners players quite often arrive in the wee small hours of the morning after a long flight back east.
And Randy also pointed out last night something that we tend to forget is the human side of this. He's got a wife and 2 kids back in Seattle. He played a long time there.
Collier bunts, pops it up. It will go foul as they let it bounce. There were 4 players around that. And it had a lot of spin on it, so Collier will come back with strike 1. It was going to be a good sacrifice if that had been touched in fair territory.
It looked like the punt coverage team surrounding the ball getting ready to down it. Look at these guys all get together. Whoa, everybody slam on the brakes. Get away. But, you know, and then people are going to say, well, gee, didn't he demand a trade? But, you know, the professional side of you says, you know, if they're not going to sign me to a long-term deal, it's best to get out of here, but the personal side says it's not easy to leave a place where you've had a lot of success, had a great relationship with the fans and his teammates.
Turner's all-time leader in wins, shutouts, walks, and strikeouts. And he's moved back to the National League, and Luke Collier is ready to bat again with an 0-1 count.
How many strikeouts he could pile up in a league where there's no DH and the pitcher has to hit?
Amazing. Collier bunts it, foul, third base side. It's 0-2. One thing that Bagwell can create for the batter, a need to bunt it in the other direction.
And the last thing you want to have to do as a bunter is try to be fine when you've got Johnson on the mound. You'd like to just be able to push that ball in fair territory, but Bagwell makes that tough.
No balls and 2 strikes. That last pitch was 93 miles per hour. Collier was hit by the pitch. The bases are loaded for Van Poppel, but he will be taken back for a pinch hitter, Keith Osick, with the bases loaded and nobody out. Hit with an 0-2 pitch after Ramirez homered on an 0-2 pitch in the 5th.
Squaring around to bunt. He was trying to throw that slider way in under the hands. It's a very difficult pitch to bunt fair, just a little too tight.
Keith Osick from LSU, backup catcher and all-around handyman, a 205 hitter, no homers and 6 runs batted in. Comes up to pinch hit for Van Poppel. They appeal at first. He checked his swing, and it's ball 1. Osick as a pinch hitter is 0 for 4. Little looper, Bagwell over. Can't get there. It's in the camera box. Jeff banged his knee on that box, it appeared. 1 ball, 1 strike to Osick. Van Poppel went 7 innings. He allowed 5 hits and 1 run. He had 2 walks. One of those was intentional and struck out 5. Scott Ellerton's getting loose in the Houston bullpen. And Poppel could be the winning pitcher if the Pirates take the lead here. Foul back. 1-2.
What a great job by Todd Van Poppel today. Up against it, facing Randy Johnson. Not to mention the best scoring team in the National League. And he came in here with an ERA over 7. Nicely done.
Jason Christensen's getting loose in the bullpen now. Oh, what a strikeout that Johnson really needed. That's number 12. And now it'll be Polkovich, new Astros season high.
Didn't take long for Johnson to get that mark. Good slider down and in.
Polkovich is 0 for 2 with a walk. Bagwell and Spires are pulled in at first and third. Double play ball gets the Astros out of this jam. Upstairs for ball 1. Yesterday the Astros had the bases loaded, nobody out in the 3rd inning against Jason Schmidt, and they did not score. He got Bagwell on a double play ball, now Lou on a fly ball. To right center. Deep enough. Bell with a catch. Here's the tag at 3rd. Mark Smith coming home. It's 2-1 Pirates. Polkovich gets his 10th RBI. Pirates take the lead in a hard-fought game. Jason Kendall is next. Spires, Bell, and Bagwell due up in the Houston 8th. Kendall's 1 for 3, a single to right in the 6th. Martinez is on deck with the Bucks up by 1. The Bucks have lost 25 games by 1 run. Popped up. Spires calling. In the 7th, the Pirates take the upper hand with a run on 2 hits and 2 left. Moving to the 8th, it's 2-1 Pittsburgh. Fielder Turner Ward is in the game, replacing Mark Smith, who went 1 for 3 and scored the go-ahead run. The new pitcher is lefty Jason Christensen, who's had quite a fine year. He's 1-1 with 4 saves and a 1.63 ERA, and almost unhittable this year, Jim.
Yeah, 55 punch-outs in 49 innings. League batting 192 against Christensen. He's 28 years old. One of those guys that a lot of clubs were after as the trading deadline neared.
Because of the lefty Christensen coming in for right-hander Van Poppel, Larry Dierker makes a change. He's going with Sean Berry to pinch hit for Bill Spires. Spires was 2 for 3. The right-handed bat of Berry comes up with a .286 batting average for 192 at-bats. 6 home runs, 28 runs batted in. As a pinch hitter, Sean 2 for 13 with an RBI. This is Christensen's first appearance against the Astros this year. Last year he was 1-0 against them in 4 games. Won a ball game in Houston in late September. Hard thrower. There's ball 1. Sean Berry at UCLA faced Randy Johnson when Johnson was at USC. Base hit to left field by Berry. Turner Ward comes in to field it, and Berry gets a pinch single. The Astros really haven't hit very well in pinch hitting roles. But Sean Berry that time jumped on a 1-0 pitch, and he's on for Derek Bell.
Sean's been frustrated because the playing time just hasn't been there for him lately. This lineup sets up so well with Spires in the 2-hole. And if they weren't getting so much production from Malou and Everett, Sean might be getting more at-bats. But he's continued to swing it well.
Derek Bell's 1 for 3, getting an infield hit in the 6th inning. Ball 1 to Bell from Christensen. Christensen signed as a free agent in '91. 6'5", 230 pounds. Last year he was 3-0 with a 2.94 ERA for the Pirates in 39 games. 1 ball and 1 strike to Bell. Jason's from Omaha, Nebraska. He signed out of a tryout camp. Jim Leland came to Buffalo to scout him during the major league strike in '94, and the next year he was a major leaguer for 63 games with the Pirates. He had elbow surgery in '96, but throws hard.
Graduate of Iowa Western Junior College.
John Lieber went to that school too.
It's a factory. Spits out baseball players.
2 balls and a strike. Derek Bell's been a late inning hitter. Bagwell's on deck. No warm-up activity right now in the Astros pen. 2-2. Pirate bullpen has the 2nd lowest ERA in the league, 2.93, with 8 wins and 17 losses.
When you look at the numbers, everything about this guy is tough. 49 2/3 innings, 14 walks, 1 home run. Doesn't give you many ways to beat him.
In the dirt. 3-2 now to Bell. Sean Berry's checking with Jose Cruz about the signs given by Mike Cubbage over across the diamond at third. Christensen had struck out 7 of the last 13 men he faced coming into this appearance, including all 4 Atlanta batters he faced last Saturday and getting his 4th save. Bouncer with a runner going, no play at second. Collier gets Bell. So Berry was moving on the pitch, and that avoids a double play or a force at second. Bell retired, 1 out for Bagwell. Good move as it turned out for the Astros.
And a good play with the combination you had. Christensen throwing that sinker slider down. Gets a lot of ground balls, and Derek Bell hits the ball on the ground a lot. So you're looking for trouble if you don't start the runner.
Bagwell had that RBI single in the 4th inning. The Astros have managed 6 hits today. 2 of those doubles by Spires, all the others singles. Bagwell, who struggled last year against left-handers, has hit very well against southpaws in '98.
He stays away from Baggy. See if he can shoot one out there into right center. He's got a lot of room.
Two and 0 to Jeff. There's the room Jim talked about.
Jeff really hasn't been hitting the ball that way very much lately.
Bagwell 3 for 3 in his career against Christensen, including a homer and 4 runs batted in. 3 balls and no strikes. He's hit 54 of his outfield hits to left field. Not many to right. Well, he was jumping on that 3-0 pitch, fouling it. It's 3-1.
A little upset with himself there. It was really a pitcher's pitch. Tough to do a lot with that 3-0. Outside corner and down.
Bagwell had a 2-run single last July here at Pittsburgh off Christensen in an Astros win. Had a home run off him in Houston in '96. This time he walks. Runners at first and second, 1 out for Moises Alou. 77th walk for Bagwell this year. Pete Vukovich, the pitching coach, is on his way to the mound.
Somebody must have froze to death out here last night, Vuk.
Vuk's got the jacket on. It's an 85-degree day. Glorious day, isn't it? We haven't seen a cloud all weekend.
What a day for baseball.
Magnificent.
It's just perfect. Got a big regatta going on behind us or in front of us, wherever we are on the river anyway.
You checked that out, didn't you, yesterday?
Stopped by yesterday.
What did you find?
I found a lot of Steeler fans.
That's not too
saw
hard
some
to
guys
find.
doing tricks on jet skis. A lot of different meats on a stick available. Cotton candy, all that good stuff.
Moises Alou, 2 for 2 in his career against Jason Christensen. Comes up with the Astros down by a run, 2 on, 1 out here in the 8th inning. He's 0 for 3 today with a line out to left in the 6th. Diving stop by Collier. From his knees, he gets the force out on Bagwell. That's quite a play for the second out by Lou Collier.
The Lou's rain down. Boy, he made a great play yesterday. And another dandy right here. Run-saving play. Smart play by Polkovich, too, not even to think about trying to turn it. He tries to be real quick there. He might end up botching that.
Carl Everett bats next.
Gotta be kidding me, Lou.
Yeah, he came up big just when the Pirates needed him. Everett's 0 for 2 with a walk. Ball 1 to Carl, is 1 for 5 in his career against Christensen. Carl has hit far better than his career stats indicated as a right-handed batter this year. .299 right-handed, as you see, with 2 homers. Looper up the middle, and that is in for a base hit to tie it. Sean Berry scores, and it's a 2-2 ball game as Everett extends his hitting streak to 4 games. That's his 60th RBI, and what a clutch hit by Everett.
Elbow, Sean.
A thing of beauty. Doesn't hit it hard, just placed perfectly. Boy, nice job by Sean Berry coming off the bench to get that started, too.
Tie game for Ricky Gutierrez. He's 0 for 2 with a walk. Ausmus on deck in a 2-2 affair in the 8th. That one will go foul on a broken bat. And a fan reaches over for a good play while the barrel of the bat is out near shortstop on a very exciting strike one here at Three Rivers Stadium.
I didn't know whether to watch the bat, the ball, the runner.
Yeah. Or those meats on a stick you were talking about. Those sound pretty good too.
They'll put anything on a stick nowadays.
Meanwhile, in the bullpen, right-hander Elmer DeSenz is getting loose for Pittsburgh as Rex Jones takes that barrel of the bat from Mike Cubbage. Watch out, Rex. Don't hurt yourself. No balls and a strike to Ricky. No win for Todd Van Poppel, but he certainly could be happy with what he did today. 1-1. The Astros lead the league in runs scored. Pirates pitching them very tough today. Houston has stranded 6 runners so far. And Poppel allowed 5 hits and 1 run in 7 strong innings. Gutierrez fouls it back 1-2. Just looking at Van Poppel, and as he is a spectator on the Pirate bench, you think that sometimes a pitcher who's been through the wars, so to speak, rushed to the big leagues at an early age, sent back down to regroup to learn some things, might really flourish here in a very low pressure environment. Jim.
I would think. I think this would be a real good fit for Todd. He's a very smart guy. Looks like he's learned how to pitch. No pressure here.
2-2 to Ricky.
Shouldn't say no pressure. I mean, there's always pressure, but they're not expected to win.
Had to be fun for him to pitch against Johnson today. Line drive, base hit into the right field corner. Alou will score to give the Astros the lead. Carl Everett's being sent home by Mike Cubbage. And the relay throw not in time. It's a 2-run double by Ricky Gutierrez, who claps his hands together. The Astros have a 4-2 lead. What clutch hitting by Everett and Gutierrez here in the 8th.
Well, look at that dugout. Everybody up. Great hitting. Nose right on the ball. Takes it the other way. Great job against this left-hander who hasn't given up much all year.
That's outstanding work with 2 outs here in the 8th inning. The Astros leading it now 4-2. They've rallied for 3. Brad Ausmus will be placed on intentionally. Randy Johnson due up next. No stirring in the Houston bullpen. Gutierrez has really had kind of a tough time the last 3 weeks. Drives in runs number 31 and 32.
Oh, what a great job. A couple of big 2-out hits. You know that they want to win this game, obviously, but they really want to win it. They put that W in Randy Johnson's column too.
It's Jason Christensen, one of the outstanding left-handed relievers of '98. The Astros get a breakthrough. And now after Ausmus reaches for the 2nd time on the free pass, everybody looking to the on-deck circle to see Tony Eusebio come out. And with that, Scott Ellerton gets up in the Houston bullpen. So Ellerton, who's 6'7", wearing number 50, comes in after the 6'10", number 51 Johnson goes the first 7, allowing 6 hits and 2 runs. Johnson walked 1, he hit a batter, and he fanned a dozen.
Oftentimes when you first come to a new team, it's tough to feel like you fit in, but no better way to go out and contribute a great effort like Randy Johnson did today.
Eusebio takes ball 1. Tony's been driving in runs in his last couple of starts. He's hit 279, 1 homer, and 26 RBIs. He had 2 RBIs Friday night as he caught Mike Hampton, and a home run and another hit Thursday. Now a fly ball left center field. Turner Ward will play it off the wall. Gutierrez scores. Ausmus coming into the plate. Relay from Collier, and Ausmus is out. Luke Collier makes another big play on the throw to Jason Kendall. But Eusebio comes off the bench to make it an RBI double in a pinch hit roll. Two big pinch hits by Berry and Eusebio, and the Astros get 4 in the 8th inning to take a 5-2 lead. Comes in relief, and he's getting an expanded role in the bullpen recently, Jim.
Yeah. And doing a very nice job. There's a look at the numbers. 11 games, 1 save, 3.49 ERA. 26 punch-outs, only 5 walks, and 28 1/3.
He got his first major league save that last time out. Manny Martinez looks at ball 1.
Astros throwing their whole front line at the Pirates today. Rebounding team in there. 6'10 Johnson, 6'8 Ellerton. Could have a heck of a basketball team in the offseason.
Strike makes it 1-1. Martinez has struck out twice. Ellerton got his first major league save last Wednesday night against Florida, going 3 innings, 2-hit, no-run baseball. 1 ball and 2 strikes. He's one of 8 different Astros to have saves this year. Billy Wagner due back Friday night against the Phillies. Bagwell to Ellerton. There's 1 out. You just have to like Ellerton more and more almost every time you see him, Jim.
I like the way he just has so much confidence, throws the ball both sides of the plate very well, has confidence in all his pitches. And you know his name was in those trade talks. That's who the Mariners wanted. Anybody else the Astros were talking to, I'm sure they wanted Ellerton. The Astros able to hang on to him.
Greg McLean said that he was one of those sought by the Mariners, and the Astros said no deal. Ball 1 to Kevin Young. Young is 0 for 3. Lined out to third in the 4th. 1-1 the count. Sean Berry stays into play third. Bill Spires made the big play earlier on Kevin Young. So Berry's at the hot corner. He and Eusebio with big pinch hits in that 8th inning rally. It's one element of the Astros offense, a very high octane offense, which has been missing much of this season. So this might give the pinch hitters a little bit more confidence for the future. That's a tough roll, though. 3-1 to Young. Foul back. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
I wonder year in and year out what the best batting averages are for a pinch hitter.
Well, it's such an uncertain and fluctuating type job. Good pinch hitters might do really well one year and then not well at all the next. Berry picks it up. 2 outs here. The great ones like Manny Mota were just so consistent. They are really hard to find, though. And the opportunities are uncertain, too. They might fluctuate. A pinch hitter might get 3 or 4 at-bats one week and then go, well, a week or 10 days without one.
Well, you think about what they're up against. They come in for 1 at-bat late in the game, usually against a nasty reliever.
Yeah. Eusebio's been a fine pinch hitter in his career. Ball 1 to Jose Guillen. He's 1 for 3. So Larry Dierker not shy about using his second catcher and leaving him with only Brad Ausmus. 1 ball and 1 strike. Some managers, if they only have 2 catchers, just keep holding the number 2 man in reserve in case there's an injury. Tony was 0 for 11 pinch hitting, but the odds were that things would turn for him. 1-2. Turner Ward's on deck. Scott Ellerton's retired the first 2 here in the 8th. Ellerton gloves it. Nice play by the big pitcher, who tosses out Guillen to make it a 1-2-3 8th and send the Astros to the 9th, leading 5-2. And to sweep this 3-game series, they lead it now by 3, and they'll be hitting against Jeff McCurry. McCurry, pitcher number 3 of the day, comes in with an 0-1 record and a 2.08 ERA for 3 games as a Pirate after pitching very well at AAA Nashville. Jim.
Hey, made the All-Star team in the Pacific Coast League. Sinker slider guy. Saw him a little bit on Friday night.
2/3 of an inning, 1 hit, no runs, in the Astros 7-4 win Friday night. He was purchased July 23rd from Nashville, where he had 23 saves. Craig Biggio takes ball 1. Biggio 0 for 4. Jason Christensen could be the loser in 1 inning. He allowed 4 hits and 4 runs, walking 2 without a strikeout. Biggio looks, and it's a strike. 1-1 to Bidge. Astros have out hit the Bucks 9-6. Biggio bunts, and he fouls it. 1-2 to Craig. McCurry, 28 years old, was with the Rockies last year for 33 ball games. Pitched in 40 innings. He was a Rule 5 draft choice by Colorado from the Pittsburgh roster, and then waivers to Detroit in '95. So he's bounced around a little bit. This is his second stint with Pittsburgh. Line drive to right center. Biggio might try to stretch. Nope. Played capably by Guillen. Biggio on with a single here in the 9th.
Biggio's first hit of the day, picked down a high slider. It's McCurry's 23 saves when he was recalled led the PCL. Having a hard time coming to terms with the fact that Nashville is in the Pacific Coast League.
Yeah, because that's a change. Nashville used to be a Double-A club in the Southern League?
They were in the Southern League. Then they were a Triple-A club in the American Association, but that's been disbanded, merged.
Sean Berry ignited the go-ahead rally in the last inning. Biggio with a huge jump steals it easily. That's his 34th of the year for Biggio.
Watch this jump. Could have had it standing up.
Yeah. So McCurry had a mental lapse. Jason Kendall out to talk with him now. Biggio got the Astros 10th hit. Now he steals a base. The Astros lead by 3. They're looking for more with Berry, and a 1-0 count awaiting McCurry. Atlanta beat St. Louis 4-3. Kevin Millwood got the win for the Braves. First baseman Young, as Berry advances. Biggio, that's his primary assignment, and Sean Berry has come off the bench, gotten a single, scored a run, and advanced the runner from second to third.
Nice job right there by Sean Berry. He'll get high fives or high fists, whatever's going on in that dugout. Nicely done. Talked about how early in the game the Astros like to play for the big inning, but late. You do go ahead and give yourself up if need be to get that runner over to third.
Now the infield comes in with McCurry facing Derek Bell. Bell's 1 for 4. Ball 1 to Derek. Jeff Bagwell on deck.
Biggio and Bagwell, such daredevils on the bases with those jumps they get. Waiting to see that old Little League try where they break when the catcher throws it back to the pitcher.
2 balls and no strikes. Jeff McCurry fits into the theme of the day. Tall pitcher, 6'6". Born in Tokyo, but he went to St. Thomas High School in the Houston area. San Jacinto Junior College. Played basketball at TCU. 2-1 to Bell. Bobby Witt was the loser for St. Louis in the Atlanta 4-3 win for Kevin Millwood. Kerry Lightenberg got another save. He's the man for now anyway for Atlanta. Might be John Smoltz in the postseason, according to rumors. 3-1. That would be pretty drastic, though, wouldn't it, for the Braves?
Be some risk involved. I would think Lightenberg would be the first option unless he's really scuffling heading into the playoffs. I like the move on Smoltz's part, though, to volunteer. It's all about winning at that stage. Forget about individual stats.
Ball 4 puts Bell on. Runners at first and third now. and 1 out for Jeff Bagwell. Bagwell has an RBI single and a walk in his 4 trips to the plate. Andy Ashby became the first 15-game winner in the National League. San Diego won at Montreal today, and Ashby, with a 4-1 victory, beat Javier Vazquez. Trevor Hoffman got another save. That's number 36 for the league leader. Bagwell to left center. Martinez with the grab. Here's the tag by Biggio. He'll score easily, and it's 6-2 with Bagwell getting his 2nd RBI. That gives him 70 for the year.
That's a feel-good run right there for the Astros. Leadoff single, steals second. Barry advances him, and then the sac fly by Baggy.
6-2 ball game. Moises Alou is 0 for 4. Ball 1 comes up and in on Alou.
Well, Curry really has good movement on that 2-seam fastball when he throws it to that side of the plate. Now they'll go back outside with a slider.
Shortstop Collier tosses to Polkovich for the force out on Bell. The Astros get a run on 1 hit and leave a man. Going to the last of the 9th, Houston leads 6-2. Houston Astros baseball on KNWS is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. With fares so low you have the freedom to go places. And by Southwestern Bell, your friendly neighborhood global communications company. The Astros lead it by 4, 6-2. Scott Ellerton has thrown strike 1 here in the bottom of the 9th inning to Turner Ward. Pirates have been held to 6 hits by Randy Johnson and Scott Ellerton. Ward is up for the first time. The count 1 ball and 1 strike on the switch hitting outfielder. Ward's hitting .260 with 5 homers, 35 runs batted in. He pops it up. Sean Berry fighting the sun. Gutierrez calls him off it. Ricky takes care of the first out. That's 4 straight for Ellerton. Ellerton, since going to the bullpen after his first 2 starts, has an ERA of 1.13 in 9 relief appearances, with 11 strikeouts and 16 innings in relief.
They gave up a run against St. Louis on July 12th, a run against the Dodgers on July 22nd. Every other outing has been spotless.
Aramis Ramirez has 2 hits, one of those a home run in the 5th inning off the big unit. That's ball 1 to Ramirez. Al Martin's in the on-deck circle to pinch hit for Lou Collier. 1-1. This bullpen has really worked well, banding together in the absence of Billy Wagner for 2 wins and 4 saves. Liner goes foul, and it's 1-2. Ellerton a part of what's been happening in the bullpen, along with Jay Powell, Doug Henry, Trevor Miller. There's Henry warming up now. C.J. Nitkowski and Mike Magnanti. And they have an ERA under 2 since Wagner went out with the injury. Good high heater, and Ramirez is gone. First strikeout for Ellerton.
Ellerton showed you a little something right there. Reaching back for a little something extra. 95 miles an hour. Well, the Astros thrown 13 feet worth of heat at these guys today.
Number 1 draft choice from Lamar, Colorado, faces the pinch hitter Al Martin. Here's strike 1. Martin doesn't nearly catch up with that fastball. Al, a .236 hitter, has 10 homers and 41 runs batted in for 369 at bats. He's 3 for 9 pinch hitting. Lays off the high one. 1 ball, 1 strike to Martin.
He's got good giddy up on his fastball today. That's as opposed to bad giddy up, Brownie.
Oh yeah. That bad giddy up. Whoa, there's the changeup. That's when you're riding a Shetland pony. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
I can tell you a little bit about that bad giddy up.
Randy Johnson has fanned a dozen. Ellerton tries for 2 perfect innings to wrap it up. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
It wasn't long ago, one of the concerns for Larry Dierker was the power arm in the bullpen. Now he's got an abundance.
There was a 3-run lead when Ellerton came in, so he can get the save. 3-2 though to Martin. Doug Strange, a switch hitting infielder's on deck. There's a strikeout to end it, and the Astros combine for 14 strikeouts for a new single game high for 98. Randy Johnson gets his first win as a Houston Astro, and the Astros sweep this 3-game series. They're now 67-44, and Larry Dierker's club heads to Florida with a 6-2 win. Well, the Astros are having fun in the month of August. They are coming off a sweep now over the Pirates as a result of this 6-2 win. Randy Johnson's first win as an Astro. He struck out a dozen in 7 innings. And it was Jason Christensen losing it. He's 1 and 2 now. Scott Ellerton got save number 2. Jim DeShays, everything clicking for Houston today.
Dominating pitching performance between Johnson and Ellerton. 14 strikeouts, only 1 walk. Wouldn't have been disastrous if Randy Johnson didn't get the win today, but it sure was nice to see him contribute, and the Astros come through with some great clutch hitting late in the ballgame.
The Astros, as a result, get their 5th sweep of a 3-game series this season. Their first here in Pittsburgh since May of '95. They go on to Florida with a 3-0 record on this 6-game road trip. We'll be back in just a moment. 6-2, the Astros win it to sweep the series. Randy Johnson's first win as an Astro, beating Jason Christensen. Scott Ellerton gets the save, and the Astros head for Florida for tomorrow night's game with Bergman and Larkin scheduled to pitch. For Jim DeShays, Bill Brown saying so long from Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh. Final score was 6-2 Astros behind the big unit. Be sure to join us again tomorrow night. Sean Bergman shoots for win number 11 of the year. It's the Astros and the Marlins at 6 o'clock. You've been watching Houston Astros baseball coverage on KNWS TV.